Dear students, how are you? Hope you all are safe and healthy. This is me, Ali Gal, your science teacher. Today we are going to start our lesson number 1, for week 4, of the first term. Dear students, in the previous lectures, we have already discussed that an atom contains 3 subatomic particles: electron, proton, and neutron. Dear students, in today's lesson we will discuss about the arrangements of electrons around the nucleus in an atom. That is how electrons arrange themselves in different shells or orbits around the nucleus in an atom. Their arrangement of electrons. Dear students, according to Bohr and Rutherford, electrons are arranged in layers around the nucleus. Each layer is also known as shell or orbit. Just remember that each layer or orbit can hold a certain number of electrons in it. For example, in the picture of carbon atom, in right bottom, its 6 electrons are arranged in 2 different shells around the nucleus. Electron capacity of shells. The total number of electrons that a shell or an orbit can hold in it is known as electron capacity of the shell, or capacity of the shell. Each shell has its own capacity. That is, the first shell can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. The second shell can hold a maximum of 8 electrons. The third shell can hold a maximum of 18 electrons. But, generally, it fills up to 8 electrons. Filling of electrons in shells. My dear students, the electrons arrange themselves around the nucleus by following the certain rules. They build up from their first shell and filling each one until all their electrons are in place. S means all the electrons are as close to the nucleus as they can be. Dear students, now let's discuss few examples in order to understand the filling of electrons in shells of an atom. For this, we must remember the capacity of each shell. For example, helium atom has 2 electrons in it, and both electrons are filled in the first orbit, just like in picture. Dear students, let us take another example of neon atom. Neon atom has atomic number 10 and contain 10 electrons which are arranged around the nucleus in such a way that 2 out of 10 electrons are filled in their first shell, and the remaining 8 electrons are filled in their second shell. Dear students, in case of magnesium atom, which has an atomic number 12, and also it can tie 12 electrons in it, which are arranged around the nucleus in such a way that 2 out of 12 electrons are filled in their first shell, and 8 electrons are filled in their second shell. The remaining 3 electrons are filled in third shell, as shown in the picture. Dear students, let's discuss few more example briefly. The hydrogen atom has 1 electron which is filled in its first shell. The helium atom has 2 electrons which are filled in the first shell. Lithium has 3 electrons. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and 1 is filled in second shell. Beryllium atom has 4 electrons. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and other 2 electrons are filled in second shell. The boron atom has 5 electrons. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and remaining 3 electrons are filled in second shell. The carbon atom has 6 electrons. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and remaining 4 electrons are filled in second shell. The nitrogen atom has 7 electrons in it. 2 electrons are filled in the first shell and remaining 5 electrons are filled in second shell. The oxygen atom has 8 electrons around its nucleus. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and remaining 6 electrons are filled second shell. And fluorine atom has 9 electrons in it. 2 electrons are filled in first shell and remaining 7 electrons are filled in second shell. Dear students, now it's time for the homework. For this, you must review the slides keenly and thoroughly. Complete the given worksheet. Write down the given questions and their answers in your notebooks. That's all for today's lecture. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.